here we go on the last ones. First problem, multiplying polynomials. So what you want to do is you want to set up a box for multiplying. Okay. And I'm actually going to move that down and make this a little bigger just because I have the room to do so. So you make a box. I have 3 items times 2 items. So I make a box that's 3 by 2. 2x squared, 3x, negative 1, 3x, and 5. And then you fill in the boxes like a multiplication chart. 3x times 2x squared gives me 6x cubed. 3x times 3x gives me 9x squared. 3x times negative 1, negative 3x. 5 times 2x squared is 10x squared. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. And now I combine up like terms and get my answer. I have 6x cubed. And then my x squareds are the same across my diagonal. I have 10x squared. 9x squared gives me 19x squared. Then my x's, same thing. 15x, negative 3x. 15 minus 3, that gives me 12x. And then my last one is minus 5. And that's your answer. Okay, next one, factoring trinomials. Set up your X box. Multiply these 2 numbers to get the top. I have 20. Middle one goes in the bottom, negative 9. I want 2 numbers that multiply to give me 20 that add to give me negative 9. So they're both going to be negative. That's fine. So my options are 1 and 20. Nope. 2 and 10. Nope. And 4 and 5. And 4 times 5 gives me not 4 plus 5 gives me 9. So I have negative 4, negative 5. Now because I have a 2 in the front here, I divide both of those by 2. Negative 4 over 2 reduces to negative 2. This and this give me my factors. For this one, it's x minus 2. And for this one, it's 2x minus 5. My denominator for the 2, my numerator for the minus 5. Next problem. Same thing, a little more complicated. You'll notice that I have x in every term. It won't factor directly with the Xbox method. So what I need to do first is factor out my common factor of 2x. So I have 2x. Pull 2x out of x cubed, that gives me x squared. Pull 2x out of negative 10x squared, that gives me negative 5x. Pull 2x out of negative 12x, that gives me minus 6. Now I need to factor this quadratic. I set up an X box. 1 times negative 6, I have negative 6 in the top, negative 5 in the bottom. 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 6, add to give me negative 5. My options are 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and I'm going to have 1 of each. So I have 6, negative 6, positive 1. Negative 6 times 1 gives me negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 gives me negative 5. So my final answer is the 2x I already pulled out, the x minus 6, and x plus 1 from this and this. Okay, next page, last couple of problems. Solve by factoring. So my first step in solving by factoring is actually factoring. So once again, because I have something in the front, I multiply those. I have negative 6 on the top, positive 5 on the bottom. 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 6 and add to give me 5. Almost the same as what we did. I have negative 6 and positive 1. Because I have the 2 here, I divide both of these by 2. This one gives me 3. So this is one factor. This is my other factor. So this gives me x plus 3 times 2x minus 1 equals 0. To solve, I set each factor, x plus 3 equal to 0, and 2x minus 1 equal to 0, and then solve these, add 3, X equals 3. There's one answer. Add 1. 2x equals 1, and there's the bell. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 1/2. There's my second answer. And then last but not least, solve using the quadratic formula. So my first step in solving by the quadratic formula, identify my A, which is 3, my B, which is 4, my C, which is -6. And then fill in the formula. X equals minus B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. Just plug it in first and then start to simplify. X equals -4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared is 16. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 6 is 72. But I have a negative and a negative, so that means I have plus 72. All over 2 times 3 is 6. X equals -4 plus or minus the square root. Add those together. 16 plus 72 is 88. All divided by 6. And because 88 is not a perfect square root, that, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer. And that is the last practice problem for your final exam.